week 2 of Puff Daddy's federal trial. I'm also known as the Battery Man for my focus on criminal battery cases, domestic battery cases, and other type of just regular battery cases in Indiana. Now, the federal courtroom, right, last week was high drama surrounding Puff Daddy's trial. It has shifted into high gear because this week you heard more about the sex trafficking and racketeering developments. You heard some explosive testimonies. Now, as a criminal defense attorney who I personally have fought countless battles in the courtroom in Indiana, especially dealing with domestic violence and other kind of battery cases, I am closely monitoring this particular case and the critical importance that aggressive legal representation has to play when facing serious charges. Now, a couple of key witnesses in this week number 2, and there's going to be a parade of witnesses, as you already know, and they are painting this disturbing brush of alleged abuse and coercion. And each witness for the prosecution is representing a potential turning point in the prosecution's case to build a comprehensive RICO case against the music mogul, Sean Puffy Combs. Now, Dawn Richard, former band member, she took the stand, who went by the name eyewitness Sean Combs attack his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, with a hot skillet. Her testimony didn't stop there. She recounted multiple allegations of alleged incidents of physical abuse, including instances of punching, choking, and slapping. Now, from a defense perspective, that testimony creates significant challenge. Now you have a witness that is corroborating the testimony of the alleged victim in the case. And this behavior, this kind of testimony builds credibility for the prosecution's narrative. So cross-examination is going to be very important when you have that opportunity to question the witness, to explore inconsistencies, potential motives, and the reliability of memories that stretch back for years. Now, another witness that testified, Regina Ventura, which is the mother of Casey. And perhaps she delivered some of the most emotionally impactful testimony because she said and presented photographs showing her daughter's bruises, and she detailed these allegations of Puff Daddy threatening to release sex tapes and harm both Cassie and rapper Kid Cudi if she didn't comply with these demands. So now you have some coercion going on. And this testimony introduced elements of the potentially relevant facts that the prosecutor is trying to introduce that deals with sex trafficking and racketeering components of their case. Now, the prosecution appears to be establishing a pattern of coercion and control, and these are essential elements when trying to prove these sex trafficking charges. Allegations of threats, intimidation, they also feed into the broader RICO charge, which requires evidence of some kind of ongoing criminal enterprise. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now, Kid Cudi, his testimony was a little bit of a mixed result for the prosecution. And when he provided some support for the defense, technically, according to some reports, the judge upheld an objection concerning some speculative claims about burglary and arson that were allegedly committed by Diddy. But Kid Cudi did recount a decade-old allegation that may have inadvertently reinforced the defense's core argument that all actions were consensual. Now, that is crucial because they're trying to say this was forced, and Kid Cudi maybe make an allegation or reference to some of this activity being consensual kind of cuts against the prosecution and for the defense. Another witness, Carrie Morgan, she spoke out. And she was the former best friend of Cassie. And she basically testified to multiple incidents of involving physical assault by Diddy. Now, while some of this appears to be damaging, the defense is going to scrutinize why they are no longer friends, potentially exploring whether there's personal grievances that may affect the reliability of her testimony. Now, the prosecution is, like I said, trying to build this RICO case. That's what I was talking about a little bit later that I'll talk about. Now, one of the things I really haven't heard of in the testimony and the reports that I've read is this allegation of a criminal enterprise, right? So everything, it seems, that's coming out is information that is talking about spending money, right? And basically jealousy. I mean, most of this is someone that has a lot of money that's a control freak and is engaging in some of this consensual behavior, maybe even force or coercion because there's a power dynamic, right? He has more money, but in the end, is he really generating income from that? Is this really a RICO case? And it seems like they're just trying to make it a RICO case to make it a stronger conviction if he gets convicted. But all these allegations really just seem like somebody that has a lot of money, that has some weird or unusual sexual interests, and he is using his money and power to be abusive. But it doesn't seem like it's really a criminal enterprise. Like, where's the money that's coming in from this criminal enterprise? Like, you know, if you think of like a drug kingpin and like, oh, he's getting all this money through drugs, and all this money and income all through drugs and killing his rivals and things like that. This appears more to be someone that's jealous, and, you know, this Kid Cudi thing wasn't really about him trying to keep this person from becoming a star or anything like that. It seemed like this was jealousy because Kid Cudi was with Puff's girlfriend, and he was just using his power to say, hey, you know, I don't want you messing with her, leave her alone, type of thing. So I do think that some of the things that the prosecutor is trying to do with this RICO is just trying to make the punishment harder if Puff Daddy gets convicted. So it just doesn't seem to have as much strength, in my opinion, as basically these claims of basically just domestic violence and an abusive boyfriend who wants to control the person. Now, Diddy's team has maintained a consistent strategy throughout week 2, basically trying to emphasize that this all was consensual in nature in the relationship between Cassie and P. Diddy. Basically, these are willing participants. Now, they are engaging in what is a hostile relationship that he is controlling. He was abusive, which, once again, domestic violence case. This is really what the defense is arguing. This is a domestic violence case. It's not a RICO case. I don't know if they're going to be successful in that, but as to me right now, from what I've seen, it really has more of what I've seen in domestic violence cases. But a domestic violence case where someone that has a lot of money, a lot of power to try to keep other men away from, you know, his woman. So with, you know, RICO, you know, you have, they have to show that there's an existence of an enterprise. And really, is this really a criminal enterprise? I mean, this enterprise he has is just that he's just, you know, got a lot of money. And the racketeering activity, and that he, you know, basically conducted or participated in the enterprise's affairs through that pattern of racketeering. Right now, you just see somebody that has a lot of money engaging in, you know, in his fantasy, it seems. I think this really is going to be a significant burden for the prosecutors to show. But by getting in there and attacking his credibility, saying he's like a bad person and all that kind of stuff like that, making the jurors hate him, I think it lessens the burden for them to have to really prove all the elements of a RICO case by saying, man, this guy's horrible. What he did was bad. He beat up this woman and he was controlling her. So let's just go ahead and convict him. And I think that's kind of what the prosecution is trying to do by bringing in all these bad things. Week 3, things to look for, obviously additional witnesses, maybe some financial evidence trying to show where this money, some kind of money trail, like he's getting some kind of income through this kind of behavior. Maybe we might get some defense witnesses on there. Once again, obviously, Puff Daddy can testify. I don't think he will testify. I don't think he will have anything positive to add to the case. Actually, I think that if he did testify, that would not go well for the defense because there's a lot of things he would have to answer to. So I do not anticipate him testifying at all.